Like Egypt. To this day, we can't build those fucking buildings the way they did it. People could say, oh, we certainly could. 2,500,000 stones that weigh between 2 and 80 tons. If you put 10 of those a day in place, it would take you 600 plus years to make the Great Pyramid of Giza. That's how fucking crazy that building is. So if you say we could build that today, good luck, bitch. If you're off by literally like a quarter of a centimeter with each block, you're fucked by the time you get to the top.
Yeah.
Think of that. Like, if you're lopsided one way or the other, by the time you get to the top, you're fucking doomed. There's some interesting theories about how they did it, but none of them really sink in. Like, what the fuck did you do? How did you do this?
How about we talk about the correlation of the Great Pyramids of Giza and Orion's Belt, among other coincidences. At the top of this diagram, you can see the shafts from the King's Chamber and Queen's Chamber aligning with stars and star clusters such as Sirius, Orion's Belt, and Alpha Draco. These celestial objects are also depicted in many of their hieroglyphs. At the bottom left of this diagram, you can see NASA's model of our inner solar system and their orbits around the sun, rotated by 107.7 degrees. At the bottom right of this diagram, you can see by using the geometry of the Giza Plateau, you can accurately create a diagram of our inner solar system, the planetal orbits, and their orbital locations. The Giza Plateau also lines up perfectly on the ley lines among many other megalithic sites. Many of those ancient cultures worship similar gods and have similar accounts of the past. Just a coincidence though, right? Let's go to the 5D. Did you know that the Great Pyramid of Giza is so large that it has its own gravitational pull? It's said when you're standing close to it, you can feel the power and force emanating from it. The pyramid is constructed with 2.3 million stones weighing tons each, for a whopping total mass of 6.5 million tons. Almost all the outer blocks are constructed of white limestone, but you can also find granite in the King's Chamber and above it, which each of these large blocks weighing up to 60 tons. Researchers have shown that the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in the internal chambers and its base. And as depicted up top, the pyramid shape allows the energy to flow upwards, creating some sort of energetic beacon. Could the Egyptians have sent a beacon of life to the cosmos through an energetic medium? Decide for yourself, because those are the facts, Jack. Next up is coming with me to the 5D.
Pyramids of Giza. The pyramids once housed the bodies of the pharaohs. But though ancient Egyptian civilization lasted for nearly 3,000 years, its kings only built huge tombs like these for a few centuries. Egyptologists are still trying to piece together why the pharaohs stopped constructing giant pyramids. For Egyptologist Chris Naunton, the majesty of the ancient structures makes the fact that Egyptians gave up building them all the more incredible. 10 miles south of the legendary pyramids of Giza is Saqqara.
When we think about pyramids, we tend to think of Giza, I think, and the Great Pyramid of Khufu in particular, but actually this is where it all began.
Chris has come to the birthplace of pyramid building to search for clues to why Egyptians built giant pyramids for less than 500 years.
The Great Pyramid is arguably the most enigmatic structure on the face of the earth. It is the only surviving wonder of the ancient world and has inspired endless speculation as to how it was built and what purpose it served.
Ever since the first studies of the Great Pyramid in Egypt have been made, researchers have been amazed at the mathematical knowledge that is encoded into the Great Pyramid, the measurements that are used in it. Even the placement of the Great Pyramid has aroused great interest among Egyptologists.
The Great Pyramid is aligned to within 3/60ths of a degree of north, a more accurate alignment than any other structure on Earth.
When you look at the Great Pyramid's alignment, it's aligned very, very close to true north. Even more interesting is to think about tracking back in time, because the Earth's axis has been shifting slowly. It's what we call precesses. And so if there's been a shift in that alignment, it could be that it was even more accurately aligned to north in the past.
This number sequence of this coordinate matches exactly the speed of light traveling through space,
measured in meters per second. This is amazing stuff. When you consider the vast amount of information about the Earth that's encoded into the Great Pyramid, you can't just dismiss all of this as pure coincidence.
You know how on top of the pyramids that it has a point? At one point, on top of the pyramids, they had a stone. It's called the bin stone. It was a conductor of electricity. They took those off and started putting them in museums. What most people don't know is under those bin stones, at the very top of the pyramid, is a language written on those bricks. That's why they don't allow people to go to the top. There was a guy who parachuted and passed up a pyramid, and at the corner of the pyramid, they seen a language on top of the bricks. That language is a light energy language that it shows itself when the sun is out and shining over it to show the actual letters and what it means. But they don't want us to know that language because it'll wake you up immediately. Pyramids are not just energy gathering devices, they're devices to wake you up with vibrational frequencies.
The Great Pyramid of Giza. A few facts about this ancient wonder of the world that still holds a huge mystery as to how it was built. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest pyramid in Egypt, was built during the reign of King Khufu, this guy. He reigned between 2589 to 2566 BCE, over 4,500 years ago. The pyramid itself took 20 years or more to build. Greek historian Herodotus stated that it took 100,000 men split up into 5 units of 20,000 men known as clans to build the pyramids. But modern evidence suggests that it actually took between 14,500 to 40,000 men to build the pyramids. Let's look at the numbers of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and you'll quickly see why it boggles the minds of leading experts as to how it was made. There's over 2 million individual stones, each weighing on average 2.5 tons. In the centre you have what's called the King's Chamber, and they have stones that weigh from 25 to 80 tons that make up this King's Chamber. An incredible amount of weight. These stones alone come from 500 miles away. They've had to transport these 25 to 80 ton stones from 500 miles away and get them up there. In total, the Pyramid of Giza weighs over 5 million tons. 5 million tons. When it was finished, it was the tallest building for 3,800 years. Now, one of the leading theories as to how the Pyramid of Giza was made is by the use of a large ramp transporting the stones up. Now, even though this is one of the strongest theories, the maths doesn't work out. You can thank Graham Hancock for that. And so it's just a theory. There's no theory today which has been categorically proven. No one knows. And if anyone says they know how the Great Pyramid of Giza was built, they're lying to you. When the Great Pyramid of Giza and the other pyramids in Egypt were finished, they didn't look like this. This is what we see. When they were completed, they had a nice smooth layer of white limestone. So they looked completely smooth. And at the top was a gold capstone that would shine bright. What a striking image. Imagine coming up the Nile and this is what you see. Breathtaking. That was a few facts on the Great Pyramid of Giza. How do you think it was built? Let's discuss in the comments. Please like and follow and have a nice day.
What's a conspiracy theory that no one can convince you isn't true because somehow it just makes sense? I'll go first. All ancient civilizations were somehow connected. There are so many unexplainable similarities between civilizations that are just never connected. And by that I mean they were literally oceans apart. I mean they weren't exactly going to jump on a boat in 747 back in the day. Now I'm not even going to touch on the fact that everyone and their grandmother liked to build pyramids that were in the same shape as Orion's belt. Or that the gods that they worshipped were incredibly similar. So I'm going to focus on these bad boys. Now when we think of these heads, we think of the tiny island in the middle of the ocean 2,000 miles away from any landmass. The infamous Easter Island. Now these megalithic heads are known as Maui. Now only recently did we discover there's not just the heads, and there's actually 30 feet of a body buried underground on each statue. The first sus moment is the fact that all 30 feet of body is buried under tons and tons of sediment. Now scientists have actually asked the question, is it possible for this much sediment to build up in only 700 years and cover 30 feet of a body on a remote island? That was really hard to say, but basically no, they don't think it is. The second sus moment is the fact that ancient civilizations all had their own statues and they share a striking resemblance to the ones on Easter Island. And once again, Easter Island is 2,000 miles away from any landmass. Don't believe me? Let me show you. First up, we've got the cloud people of Peru. The bearded gods on Boa Island in Ireland. The statues in Mesoamerica. We have some in Mexico. Casually chilling in Indonesia. We have this one in Turkey. Also notice how in most of the statues, all of the hands are the same. And one in Göbekli Tepe. All from cultures who apparently never met. Now don't get me wrong, I don't have the answer to this conspiracy theory, but there just seems to be a lot of coincidences that just don't seem like coincidences. I'm excited to see what conspiracy theories you guys believe. Now share this with a friend to completely blow their mind. Now everyone with me.
There's things about the pyramids you don't know. Hold on, let me explain. The first thing you didn't know about the pyramids was that they line up perfectly with latitude and longitude. The reason this is so special is because latitude and longitude wouldn't be created for over 1,000 years. Also because they line up with latitude and longitude, that means each side of the pyramids are perfect north, east, south and west. The second thing you didn't know about the pyramids is that the Pyramid of Giza is at the center of all the world's land mass. The third thing you didn't know is that each brick is exactly on the dot of 1/25 million of the length of the North Pole to the South Pole. The fourth thing is that the length is 365.2 cubits long, and that is the exact amount of days in a year to the 1,000th. The fifth and final thing is the exact coordinates of the Pyramid of Giza is the speed of light exactly in meters per second. And that is how. Does the location of the pyramid prove an ancient civilization with advanced knowledge? There is mathematical and geographical evidence coded within the Great Pyramid. The location of the pyramid is almost identically aligned with true north. You will find the ancient pyramid at the exact center of the world's land mass. But what do you think?